It's a pleasure to have you here. Nigeria's political landscape has been thrown into turmoil after a federal high court ruling ordered the deregistration of 5 political parties, including the African Democratic Congress, one of the country's most prominent opposition platforms ahead of the 2027 general elections. The decision has triggered a political firestorm, with opposition leaders accusing powerful forces of attempting to weaken democratic competition and silence alternative voices before Nigerians head to the polls. The judgment, delivered by Justice Peter Lifo of the Federal High Court in Abuja, directed the INEC to deregister the African Democratic Congress, Accord Party, Action People's Party, Action Alliance, and Zenith Labour Party. The ruling followed a suit filed by the National Forum of Former Legislators, which argued that the affected parties failed to meet constitutional requirements necessary to maintain their registration. According to the plaintiffs, the parties did not achieve the electoral performance threshold outlined in Section 225A of the Constitution. They argued that political parties are expected to secure meaningful electoral victories, including winning elective offices or obtaining significant percentages of votes during elections. Based on those arguments, the court agreed that the parties should no longer remain registered. However, what might have appeared to be a legal matter quickly exploded into a major political controversy. Opposition figures immediately questioned not only the ruling itself, but also the timing of the judgment. Many argue that the decision comes at a critical moment when preparations for the 2027 elections are already gathering momentum, and opposition parties are mobilizing supporters across the country. Former Vice President and ADC presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar described the ruling as a dangerous development for Nigerian democracy. According to him, the judgment raises serious concerns because there was already a subsisting Court of Appeal order that reportedly stayed further proceedings in the case. Atiku argued that any action taken while that order remained active raises fundamental questions about adherence to due process and respect for judicial hierarchy. The former vice president went further, alleging that the judgment forms part of a broader effort to weaken opposition parties ahead of the next general election. He accused the government of focusing more on political survival than addressing pressing national challenges such as insecurity, unemployment, inflation, and economic hardship. For Atiku, the issue is no longer just about the ADC. He says it is about the future of Nigeria's multi-party democracy and whether citizens will continue to have genuine political choices at the ballot box. The reaction from ADC leadership was equally fierce. The party's national chairman, Senator David Mark, rejected the judgment outright and assured supporters that the decision will not stand. Mark described the ruling as an attack on democratic principles and expressed confidence that higher courts will overturn it. He insisted that the ADC will remain on the ballot in 2027 and urged party members across the country not to panic. The ADC also accused elements within the ruling establishment of attempting to use judicial processes to eliminate credible opposition platforms. Party officials argued that INEC itself had previously informed the court that the ADC had not violated any constitutional requirements warranting deregistration. The question why a party that had complied with electoral regulations was suddenly facing removal from the political landscape. Meanwhile, Osun State Governor Adeleke also joined the growing chorus of criticism. Adeleke argued that the judgment ignored a Court of Appeal order and warned that it could interfere with the democratic rights of voters. The governor, whose political calculations are closely tied to one of the affected parties, reassured supporters that legal efforts were already underway to challenge the ruling. Across opposition circles, Concerns are growing that the decision could reshape the political battlefield ahead of 2027. Several politicians have described the ruling as an attempt to narrow political competition at a time when many Nigerians are searching for alternatives to the country's traditional political structures. Political stakeholders are also warning that the controversy could deepen public distrust in democratic institutions if not handled carefully. Critics argue that democracy thrives when citizens have multiple political options and when electoral contests are decided by voters rather than courtrooms. Supporters of the affected parties insist that any effort to remove opposition platforms through judicial means risks creating perceptions of political manipulation. The ruling has also sparked intense debates on social media, where supporters and critics are fiercely divided. Some Nigerians argue that political parties should be held accountable for poor electoral performance and should not remain registered indefinitely without demonstrating public support. Others insist that voters, not courts, should ultimately decide which parties deserve to survive politically. As legal battles begin to unfold, attention is now shifting to the Court of Appeal, where several of the affected parties are expected to challenge the judgment. The outcome could have significant consequences, not only for the future of the ADC and the 4 other parties, but also for the broader structure of Nigeria's political system. For now, one thing is clear. What started as a courtroom decision has rapidly evolved into a national political confrontation. With less than a year before campaigns for the 2027 elections enter full swing, the battle over party deregistration may become one of the defining political stories shaping Nigeria's democratic future. The question many Nigerians are now asking is simple but powerful. Is this a legitimate enforcement of constitutional requirements, or is it an attempt to withdraw the political map before the next election? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe opposition parties are being unfairly targeted, or should underperforming parties be removed from the political process? Join the conversation, subscribe for more in-depth political coverage, and stay informed as this major political battle continues to unfold. I'm Chidera Esom. Bye for now.